Mark said. Basically, what it's all about is culture. Brother Mark's father joined us at the NEC meeting last Monday night, and he said, culture trumps everything. And that's what we're dealing with here. How are we going to change our culture to, say, meet the knights of the future? It's not so much, and that in those areas, such as the membership. If you see the membership application, the flow chart for a membership goes over 2 pages in Queensland. So, you know, you apply for membership, 6 months later you get it. So that type of thing, the culture of secrecy and this bureaucracy is, again, is what Professor Gold's really identified as really, you know, that part of it is just too great in our organisation. So I think the challenge for all of us, especially at this level, is to look at our bureaucracy, look at our culture, and say, how do we free this all up? How do we make ourselves more open, presentable, and so on?
So John, just on that very quickly, sorry. As a case in point, my wife has said to me on more than one occasion, why can't I come to these meetings? It's just absurd. And I've sort of said, well, I must admit I've never done any research. I just sort of said, you can't, you know, because you're not a male. But for me, I sort of think, well, why can't that happen? You know, in terms of a daughter or whatever wanted to come along, someone from the family wanted to come along and just observe and see what's all good. Why can't we make that happen?
It's worth remembering there is a Catholic Women's League, and that it would behoove, and this is what we're attempting in Victoria, to have a better relationship with the Catholic Women's League, to encourage our spouses to become members of the Catholic Women's League and their husbands to become members of the Knights. So it's just been, which is the example of one of our previous state chairmen whose wife was very active in the Catholic Women's League. We don't want to take away from them. In fact, it's a good opportunity for both their organisations to enhance each other, and that's something we're aiming to do in Victoria. We've recently got confirmation they're happy to work together with us. So.
Hi, Brother John. I've probably lost 20 minutes there now, so
thanks.
crack on.
I'll try and get this done as quick as possible. The first part of my section deals with just the general report presentation, and I had that originally in one bracket that was chopped up into now 3 plus the charter changes. So what I'll deal with very quickly is just the overview of the committee, which has these members plus Brother Kevin from Western Australia, who hasn't been coming to the meetings for a while. We've also had on our guests, and those guests, as you see there, always include the Supreme Knight and all the state chairmen, but also there's other guests there that who give us valuable contributions at every meeting. What impresses me about this group is that everyone comes together once a month, contributes all their gifts, their talents and their experience into the problems that we actually have to resolve in these areas. So I thank every one of those people from the bottom of my heart, because they really make this happen and make my job a lot easier. And also I'd like to thank Brother John Hennessy for actually setting up the group and making sure that we've got a great foundation where things happen. So on that basis, there's the 3 areas that I covered in the first draft. Was the player's mission statement, which I'll get onto later, the strategic plan discussion leader, which I'll also has been allotted to another section, and the training and development assessment. And basically that was done at my insistence, because what I wanted to do is find out, with the main vehicle of what John had done to get this committee up and running was his order development manual, and I wanted to know where it had gone in the states, how far it had penetrated, and if there's resistance or other programs, etc., that are in those states that have been developed. I wanted to know that the states are really active in those areas, such as the strategic planning, the training, and the promotion of disability. So basically, in the training area, which is the order development rollout, it is established and used in training in Victoria and South Australia mainly, accepted as a KSC document, but not used for training in Western Australia and Queensland. New South Wales and Tasmania hadn't responded to the surveys or the information sheets that I sent out, so we haven't included them in these discussions. But there is a bit about them at the last of this presentation, because the reason that they haven't replied, we felt, was that there may have been a lack of capacity to really go into these items that were needed to research, and so that we thought they needed assistance, and we were looking towards the national executive to help us, to help those two states in whatever capacity they needed help in. So they haven't been forgotten, and actually the members there thought their needs was a priority. So that's those areas there. So the development manual is out and running. Strategic planning, all states have strategic plan and operational plans and schedule activities. Western Australia, Victoria and South Australia branches have branch plans. Some Queensland branches have branch plans. And it's only Victoria and South Australia that really monitor their branch plans. So the other ones, you know, hopefully the branches are doing their plans. So there's probably more in that space. In relation to training, at state level, Western Australia has formal training. No other states have formal training, but they mentor their members in their new roles with the existing members that are there. At branch level, there's no formal training in any state, but provide a buddy system and mentoring again in the various roles. No leadership training is offered, and a membership level inductory training is low to non-existent. So when we get our younger members in, it's more or less come to a meeting and we'll tell you about the nights, you know, by mouth, and you just learn it as you go along. I feel that that's not the way to do things, but this assessment is a snapshot of the situation as it is now. When you review, you take into your quantitative and qualitative data, so you find out why things are happening, not exactly what's happening, but why that happens and how you're going to fix it in the future. So when we review these documents, such as the Order Development Manual and the National Order Manual, those type of questions are going to be asked, the qualitative and quantitative ones. So in promotion and awareness and membership, no promotion of media officers' roles have been created in the state. So that means you're not looking at getting any information out of your organisation. Just have all the information contained in the organisation. It's spread pretty well through newsletters and nightlife and so on. But suddenly people are starting to look for nightlife outside. And that information and that awareness of nightlife existence is great, and it should be promoted at all levels. Most events are planned, that's the KSC events, and promote that internally only, so no one else knows about what we do. Most branches rely on monthly newsletters as the main form of communication and promotion of events. Most state organisations and some branches have some form of marketing materials such as brochures and bookmarks, pull-up banners and so on. But they are mainly used limited, and a lot of it's internal, such as here and our branches meetings. So inclusion to the assessment I did on the training, strategic development, promotion, each state is at different levels of training, planning and promotions, due to mainly the autonomous nature of the states in each state organisation. So they don't really talk to each other or communicate their strategies and successes or what doesn't work. You heard from Brother Mark what he's doing with young people, gives other states the ideas here. It should be done better and more frequently. I'd like to think that the NDC has had a role in doing that, in spreading the Mark's paper on membership, also the papers on the Belinda Moore, and also our survey. I'll get onto that subsequently, but it's only through spreading this information around, getting each state to look at it and say, yes, there's something in this for us. If you don't know about it, you don't do anything about it. So significant deficiency is evident in training and how we communicate outside communities and organisations, as well as how we promote ourselves. So we do not perform these activities well at any level of the order. Brother Mark, you said that we should probably have a different word from training. Is that right? Did you?
Yeah, so I just sort of said to John the other day that, I mean, we talk about training. If we're going to be a contemporary organisation, it's development. You know, it's about building capability. Training is just one strategy that's used to build individual, team and organisational capability.
So, thanks. That gets back to our charter. Our charter says training as our main focus in the organisation. We should probably look at development, which includes training and these other areas that we've just been talking about. So, out of this assessment, we said, well, this is great, it's just a snapshot, here it all is. However, New South Wales and Tasmania, we think really need some help in these areas. So what I would like to do is put it back to the committee here, to the executive, to look at that, how we can assist with training, promotion and strategic development.
John, yeah.
Yes, sorry.
If I may, we've adopted a bit of informal training where we can, and
Yes.
I had pushed that across, any branches last year. The two ways we do it is to any new members, you put a buddy system in with them. So have someone there, maybe only to go and take them for a coffee, or to call them, make sure they know when the next meeting's on.
Yes.
But I certainly have one member at the moment that I'm taking a bit of time with. Secondly, the other way I'm doing it, or trying to do it at a branch level at the moment, is to take the Constitution along, not preach it, but just pull out, do an awareness thing of various policies, whether they be state policies or whether they be some item in the Constitution, just to give them a little bit of an idea of what it's about. An example is the working with children checks bit. Another one might be what one of the other policies that, we have for travel and all that sort of thing. It just gives an awareness of what's going on, and that in itself is training of people.
Fair enough. Brother Andrew, could we get another slide up there on So the next one I have is the review of the orders and the mission statement. So what we will have here is the current mission statement is a faith-driven, the mission statement, right? The faith-driven order of Catholic men living in promoting. The vision statement is a faith-driven order of Catholic men living and promoting the Christian way of life. Now, the current mission statement is witness to Jesus Christ by advocating Christian values and beliefs throughout Australia and leading laity to a spirit of service inspired by the gospel. The NDC formed a committee of Brother Glenn in Victoria, Brother Elaine Solomon in New South Wales, and myself. And we initiated a mission statement, which we put back to the committee. That got worked again. We decided on a certain statement. We sent it off to the Supreme Knight, and it came back to us in April meeting and said, you haven't looked at the charity work. Because of the changes to the objects of the order to try and meet ACNC.
Charitable status.
Sorry?
Charitable status.
Yeah. The charitable status, we need to strengthen the mission statement of how we actually do things to include Australian areas outside the order, because the ACNC will look at those areas and say they're not strong enough or they're not really meet the guidelines or the principles of the certification for that charitable order. So we felt at the time the mission statement we put up needed to demonstrate how the vision will be achieved. So that's the proposed mission statement. Our mission is to unite Catholic men on a journey of faith, fraternity through the promotion of Christian values that foster spiritual, social and intellectual growth, will deepen your faith, strengthen bonds of brotherhood and actively contribute to the well-being of Christian and the wider communities. It's long. It's hopefully what we were looking at is more of a marketing mission statement rather than a corporate one, because the corporate one will be probably one-liner and quite tight, shall we say. This one was trying to get people to see it. It's really a mission statement for people outside the organisation. We didn't do a mission statement for the people basically in here because we know what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. But this mission statement is for people who don't know our organisation, which is a lot of them, and they can see this and say, yes, I can join this organisation because hopefully we're going to do these things. So that's where the approach to the mission statement came from. So also we needed the mission statement to link the vision statement to the strategic plan and objects of the order, so lengthen, say vertically, but also be a reference guide to the state and operational strategic plans, and to incorporate the 8 priority items identified in the NSC membership book. So you should be able to see all those in our mission statement. To get all those in, it'll probably take about 3 sentences. We've chopped it down. So our focus is that the mission statement should not only focus on the impact it have on our members, but prospective members, where the question is, what is in it for me? Sensitive. With the inclusion of the wider community in the mission statement, there's a demonstration we serve not only our own Christian community, but those outside the church. And that's why we added that last phrase to try and capture that ideal that we're not here just for other people. So then this gives what I'm saying is just an overall picture of it also. There's our mission statement. The forum, NDC forum issues come in, the objects of the order hopefully are incorporated, and then the mission statement is also flowing down to these plans and the strategic plan. So that's what the mission statement is about. Now, is there any questions on this one?
Just to go back there, John, can you go back to the screen before, please? Yeah, well, there you've got the objects of the order statement, but we've now got a revised one going to be put to this meeting later on. So you didn't have access to them at the time?
No, I didn't have access to the revised one. This was done some time ago, and also I didn't mail those ones. We have got John Dwyer, Brother John, on our committee. We consulted him about how this would fit in with the requirements of the charitable organisation committee, and he said basically they're not going to go down into this depth, because all we're putting up to them are the objects of the order, not the whole constitution. So he said we're only concentrating on the objects of the order. So, yeah. Also, we said through Brother Lynch that if it becomes a problem, yes, we'll review it and change it and say we should make these points in there or leave these points out, whatever is needed. However, this morning, yesterday, I also looked at what was proposed in the Constitutional Committee's submission, and also looked at said the ACNC intended to reject the Queensland application for charity status because Queensland does not currently meet the requirements. So basically, if they look at this, and the requirements are that all we do is for charity and nothing for our members, it's pretty hard to, and I assume is the feedback from the ACNC. If we're going to give you charitable status, you've got to be a charity. Have I got that right?
It's more the other way. If you give something of benefit to your members, you will not be seen as a charity.
Is that financial benefit to the members, or in kind?
Well, financial benefit would be a clear case, but for instance, ACNC tends to interpret that broadly.
So
the organisation can't exist for the benefit of its members, and so, but to develop the capacity of the organisation, which is really what you're talking about, is not taking away from the charitable aspect of the organisation, and it's not necessarily giving a benefit to a member, or by what Jamie used to have an organisation structure, but we're not doing things that are for the benefit of members. We're doing it for the benefit of those who provide charitable.
Totally, it's just the ACNC treats these things very strictly, when it's really makes sense, and it takes that sort of...
And they will look at the whole constitution.
Yeah. So on that basis then, does that membership statement,
You can just go back one there, so you see a larger, where's the previous one? There you go.
yeah, does that mission statement really draw the cracks from the ACNC?
No, that's totally...
No, because they won't look at admission, but they'll look at the constitution.
Yes.
Which has got the objects of the...
So that's the real sticking point, well, I see anyway, with the mission statement. You may, because from the NDC perspective, it is basically a promotions area that we would see that people see this and have some idea of what we do. That's it in a nutshell.
I'm just, have you got the vision there? Is that the one?
Sorry?
Have you got the vision statement? Is that the one in front of it? So, yeah, the vision, okay. So my understanding in a simplistic way, like the vision is the light on the hill.
Yeah.
It's what we're aiming for, isn't it?
Yes.
It's faith-driven order of Catholic reign, living and promoting the Christian way of life. Yeah? Now, you go into the vision, and then you go into the mission. The mission is well, the light on the hill, that's how do we get to the light on the hill. We're going to unite Catholic men on a journey of faith, fraternity and truth. Promotion of Christian values that foster spirituality, social and intellectual growth. And then we'll deepen our faith, strengthen our bonds of love and heart, and actively contribute to the well-being of Christians and the wider community. So the question I see is, the statement that we got there, does that enable us to get to the first one, to the vision one, if we do those things? Patrick?
I've just attended to the vision and mission statement in our parish, and what I have basically, and I've memorised this, I can say it now if you want me to, it's referencing the kingdom of God. And I got these words from the ending of the preface for the celebration of the Mass, for the solemnity of Christ the King. So this is a beautiful statement. The kingdom of God is a universal and eternal kingdom, a kingdom of life and truth, a kingdom of holiness and grace, a kingdom of justice, love and peace. For me, that says it all. And the mission is to make that a practical reality for all.
So John, could I, just one little, good vision and mission statements should just be literally roll off the tongue, okay? They should be your elevator pitch. And I think the new vision statement is certainly much more effective than the old vision statement that we have. I just wonder whether there's an opportunity to make the proposed one a little bit briefer in terms of, because, you know, I look at it and I just wonder whether it's sort of a little bit over-engineered, and whether there might be an opportunity to make it a little bit briefer. For example, very simplistic, as a starter, in your mission statement, you don't need to actually say our mission is to. You just say, you know,
To unite.
to unite Catholic men in the journey of faith, blah, 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 blah. But I think there's an opportunity to actually simplify it even further.
Without losing what
Yeah.
we would more or less shall we say, the promotion aspect of it.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, and because I'm with due respect, I'm trying to get away from the corporate aspect and into this type of thing, because that's where we're going. We're going to more promotion and marketing, shall we say. And that's what the Development Commission is about, to a fair degree. And
Can I make a very minor point?
yeah,
On the second sentence, I think that would be better if it was in the third person rather than the second person. We will deepen, I think it should be, we will deepen their faith.
now,
But that's just my
this-
opinion.
The or was added by Lorraine because he wanted more a target, and you know, this is just open to in a little bit of defence, not defence, but reasoning for putting the or in there. It's target more towards the reader than yeah, we discussed that, but yeah.
Yeah, okay, it's just the first,
and
first line
I'm
is,
happy to go with both.
Yeah.
Elaine says, you know, we should look at targeting the reader and say,
so the first sentence is in the third person, it's, our mission is to unite Catholic
Yeah.
men. It's not,
yes,
our mission is to unite you as a,
yeah,
whatever.
you're right.
But,
yeah.
so it's that change of,
Yeah, I'd rather keep it as the same
Yeah.
person.
Can I just question that? So you response to that, can I reflect on the contemplation a bit in some of those words? Can you identify with some of that in the
It's
context of who we are?
It's comprehensive, but as far as streamlining goes, I'm sure they're better fit to do it than me.
So, I mean, I don't want to speak on which part, but it was spoken about at the Queensland State Council, and I think there was general agreement that it was too long, lengthy, and after some conversation, a slightly shorter version was proposed, which our state chaplain actually resonated better with him. He actually also suggested a change to it. But yeah, I mean, of course, these things always get into wordsmithing. You can wordsmith these things out.
So maybe it's worth, or that's another comment. I just wonder.
You're going to make a comment?
I just, the word well-being, how come you haven't got the word, say, service instead of well-being? Is there a logic behind that? Because it doesn't really say anything about service, but that's part of, I think the well-being is trying to cover that, but I'm not sure why you just wouldn't use.
Well, the well-being of the Christian wife is more or less the betterment, shall we say, that type of thing, rather
Yes,
than
I can
service.
see where you're coming from, just, yeah.
To the betterment, no, that doesn't, yeah, I'd prefer well-being, but yeah, service, Christian wider communities.
does the
Yeah,
first
it's more or less
sentence,
so, yeah, we're looking at building our communities.
So, Brother John, I just wonder whether two components are sort of a bit duplicate. So if I was to take out through the promotion of Christian values, because isn't the point that this foster spirituality, social and intellectual growth are the Christian values? And likewise, strengthen the bonds of brotherhood. Isn't the point of being Catholic men on a journey to strengthen the bonds of brotherhood?
Yeah, basically that's true. You'll probably see that that's in basically two parts. One is say, yeah, that's connected to the vision statement, and this one's more or less connected to the plans and the strategic plans. So that's how you actually do it, is that part of it there. So, you know, to reach the vision statement, we're looking at journeying men through their faith and fraternity, and that through the promotion of Christian values. And the second part is, that's the way we look at it anyway.
Yeah.
But your point.
I'm saying, isn't the fostering of spiritual, social and intellectual growth the Christian values? And so you're saying Christian values, and then you're defining what those values are.
Yeah.
Why don't you just say what the values are, rather than the promotion of those? Because to me, promotion is a dampening down. You know, I can promote one, but it doesn't mean I'm going to do.
So sorry, just read it out there, Francis. I'll give you
So, our mission is to unite Catholic men in the journey of faith and fraternity that fosters spiritual, social and intellectual growth.
Yeah.
We will deepen your faith and actively contribute to the well-being of Christian and wider communities. Because again, to me, that's strengthening bonds of brotherhood. Catholic men on a journey in fraternity is strengthening those bonds.
So,
Right. So, hang on. So that'll go to unite Catholic men in a journey of faith and fraternity through...
No, and go to the end of that, foster. So take out through the promotion of Christian values.
Yeah.
so could I just share with you, just share?
You just wait for that. Hold on, just mark at the moment we get this lockdown. So, John, so you said putting a line through the promotion of Christian values. So got a line through those 4 words, 5 words.
Yep.
And the next one, we will strengthen your faith.
And put a line through strengthen bonds of
brotherhood.
brotherhood.
So 4 words, put a line through those. And actively contribute to the wider being of the Christian wider community. So, Brother John, do you want to read that back now, you?
I've got to unite Catholic men in a journey of faith and fraternity that fosters spiritual, social and intellectual growth. We will deepen... I've got your... We're going for there or your?
With you at the moment.
We will deepen your faith and actively contribute to the well-being of Christian and wider communities.
Okay.
So he's taken out the strengths of bonds of brotherhood.
Because that's how they do it.
And you could actually get rid of it.
Sorry, yeah, John.
Is there any chance we could do it on the screen? We did that once before, it worked well.
Andrew?
It's on
PowerPoint?
we did it at Word, and unfortunately that's on PDF. It's not going to be file picture. Yeah. Can you
All right.
get in there?
Yeah,
Another 15 minutes. Suggest that those 2 sentences both say the same thing, so just cut one.
That one?
While I'm doing that,
So what do you think change?
I was going to suggest that Francis.
Brother Paul through the promotion of Christian
I was
values.
going to agree with what's been suggested, that both those sentences say the same thing.
Yeah, one sentence. You could knock out the second
Then
sentence.
play around with it.
We will deepen your faith. Take us
So
to
Vince-
the bonds of brotherhood.
Yep. Oh, I can take out the common then.
Take out the comment.
And that's it?
So far. Yes, John.
You
Yes,
could further
Mark,
simplify it, which you're going to go with this version. To unite Catholic men in faith, you don't need in the journey of. You say, through faith and
Through, right,
through faith and fraternity that fosters spiritual, etc. So, once again, you just got to remove redundant words.
yeah.
Make it less challenging and just roll off the tongue.
Yeah, we're going to bring that up.
Yeah, you're right.
Because this goes back to where Vince started this morning, where he put up there fraternity, Christianity and service. And then Western Australia come up with their logo of faith, formation and service. So one of them is going to have to be used on their banners along with these words. So they need to tie together as well. Or you just want to go with inventing fraternity, Christianity and service. Well, that's starting to get near that, I think.
Do you need to take the
Too many meetings going at the moment.
after growth in intellectual and potential growth?
Well, if you go with this version, once again, get rid of the redundant words. We deepen in faith. Will's redundant. We deepen your faith and contribute. Actively doesn't have any value. And contribute to the well-being of Christian and wider communities.
Right.
But I think
Take out actively.
But once again, that's probably tighter than what we started with, which I
Oh,
think
yes,
is
yes, it's what
Going
All right, so Brother John, if you read that back, then what you've got there in that mission.
So I'll just wait till it comes up. So if you, I know we will.
So is that, so to unite Catholic men in a journey of faith and fraternity that fosters spiritual, social and intellectual growth, we will deepen your faith and contribute to the well-being of Christian and wider communities. Is that the
Sorry, just another suggestion. Isn't the point of the journey in faith to deepen your faith? And so if you just want to make it one sentence, so
Journey in faith,
intellectual growth and contribute to the well-being of Christian
Well,
wider community.
So
why do we limit ourselves to, sorry, being a devil's advocate,
yeah,
why do we
so
limit ourselves to intellectual growth?
No, well, the spiritual, social, and
Yeah. So,
social, we need the three: spiritual, social, and intellectual. So,
Comes from the objects.
so the journey of faith and deepen your faith. Same, two same.
I'm saying that the journey of faith
Yeah.
and deepening your faith are fundamentally the same thing.
Right. So,
And so if you change from intellectual growth, take out the comma, just put and, or take out the comma and through to
and contribute to the take out. And
or take out the full stop, I mean.
take out that.
No, yeah, to go
Take out that.
no, go from the full stop.
Which
Oh,
one?
well,
take right?
from the full stop through to end.
Yeah.
We will deepen
Take
your
that.
faith.
Yeah.
So we will, so you want that removed?
Yeah.
And
And
the full
full
stop.
Now we've got two ends there. That's foster spiritual, social, and intellectual growth, and contribute. Yeah, all right. Yeah, that's still the each one.
What
So,
about,
no, leave the end.
what about two instead of an?
So,
so could we, because unite is one thing, I think there's an element of support. So, to unite and support Catholic men in their faith and fraternity that fosters spiritual, social and intellectual growth, contributing to the well-being of Christian and wider communities.
Instead of and contribute, what about two contribute? Yeah, that would sound
Sorry.
Two contribute. Instead of
Rather
and.
than
There are too many ands in there.
after
Yeah.
growth.
Yeah.
but that's
Two.
yeah.
Yeah,
but that's intellectual
Oh,
growth.
but then you double on the two.
Yeah.
To contribute to,
Get rid of the two, you don't need.
which one?
So,
You don't need the first two.
uniting
no.
and supporting Catholic men.
Right, uniting and supporting. Right.
Catholic men.
In a journey of faith and fraternity. So,
Well, you can probably get rid of uniting and supporting Catholic men in their faith and fraternity, fostering, get rid of that, fostering spiritual, social and intellectual growth, contributing to the well-being of Christian.
you're taking out fostering spiritual.
So, get rid of in a journey, just say Catholic men,
Wouldn't it be in
Their
their
faith?
journey?
No,
Uniting
In
and
their
supporting
faith.
Catholic men
in their faith. Comma, get rid of the end.
and fostering spiritual.
Fostering spiritual, social and intellectual growth, get rid of the end, this part of there. Contributing to the well-being of Christian life
You
communities.
need fraternity in there.
Need what?
You've lost fraternity.
Yeah, you lost
First
fraternity now.
fraternity.
Yeah.
Undo.
Yeah.
where?
Yeah, just go under one.
You lost fraternity.
Yeah, we need
Yeah.
Well, that's, didn't you ask me to get rid of it?
faith and fraternity.
Yeah.
Faith and fraternity.
Oh, there you go.
You can't get rid of that, Mark.
Yeah, fostering
Fostering
spiritual.
spiritual, social and intellectual growth, contributing to, don't need the end, contributing to the well-being of Christian and wider communities. So you can get rid of that end and just make contributing to.
Brother John, can you just have a look at what you got there? Can you tick most of the things off your bigger statement?
Sorry?
You know, you have larger two sentences that, no, you got it in front of you there, but you got all the key words there in this shorter one, and you
Unite,
in the large one.
yeah, we've got uniting faith, fraternity, fostering spiritual, social, intellectual growth, deepening faith. We've already dealt with that journey of faith and deepening faith, connection we only need. In their faith. We've got bonds of brotherhood which come out, and the well-being of Christian and wider communities.
But I think brotherhood and fraternity link, don't they?
Yes.
It's about brotherhood.
There's no brotherhood there.
No, but I mean,
Well,
fraternity,
united.
Catholic men have got to be a brotherhood.
yeah, Catholic man and fraternity is a brotherhood.
Yeah. We've got fraternity, brotherhood. Yeah, fraternity and brotherhood are synonymous.
The only word you haven't got, which we've spoken about before, is service. I don't know how you fit in, I'm just saying services been used all along, all our life.
The contributing of
So why don't you say,
Could be
men
services.
in their faith, fraternity and service, fostering spiritual blah, blah, blah. So make that men in their faith, comma, fraternity and service.
Or the other alternative is an intellectual growth
foster.
through a life of service that contributes.
How about
Keep it simple.
service and, that's on the read, right? Yeah. And
Yeah, so uniting and supporting Catholic men in their faith, fraternity and service, fostering spiritual, social and intellectual growth,
Right.
contributing to the well-being of Christian white communities.
Andrew.
Nails it. Isn't it too late?
Would it be better to break that into two sentences? It's a very
Nearly
long
back to
sentence.
that's where it come from.
faith, fraternity. Faith,
Fraternity and
Yeah,
service,
and
full
service.
stop, capital F.
faith, take out the end. So take out the end
Go on.
and put in the end for service after fraternity.
So hang on, so faith, comma,
Yeah.
fraternity and
Oh, it's
service.
the old one.
Yeah, yeah.
Fostering spiritual.
Brother John, can I just go back to look at the vision there? What does the vision say again? So we don't have to govern out now, but I think the vision has got service in it.
Faith, the vision says faith living and promoting the Christian way of life.
Oh, okay. Letter of the Lord.
So we've got servicing there as a way
Yeah.
to get to our vision.
So we don't-
Right, how are we going?
It's close.
Read it back out again there, Andrew.
The only thing is two sentences.
Unite.
No.
Eh?
Yes, we can go two sentences, but I think one long sentence.
Uniting and supporting Catholic men in their faith, fraternity and service, fostering spiritual, social and intellectual growth, and contributing to the well-being of Christian and wider communities.
And maybe you stick an and in there.
Just where'd you go at the end?
You wanted to put before contributing.
Don't need it.
Contributing growth.
No, we're still in the meeting, mate.
And contributing, yeah.
What about two contributors?
No, contributing, because
Yeah.
we've got.
You don't need the and, John. Resist it.
No, we're just going to contribute, we're keeping it,
All right, okay.
with the I and G words together. Whatever you call it, supporting, uniting, supporting, contributing.
I'll never give it a
So I think all the conversation we've had this morning is leading to an outcome here. So I think it's been built upon the previous papers that's been presented, and I think it encapsulates that
So
quite well, if you're happy with that.
I'm happy with that.
Okay. Do you want to vote on this? or
John,
what?
I think I should ask John how he feels about it.
No, this is your, I've had my say before we started. Thank you.
All those in favour?
So we've got to have a motion first.
Yeah. Do you want to say that?
I can't read the motion.
Do you want to? So we have a current one, which is the older one there somewhere. Mission statement, it's been adopted, reviewed and updated. So do you want got a mover for this?
This one?
You can't move.
Well, you can't be Mick, don't move it.
Now I'm still reading it. Yeah, I'll move it.
Good.
Do you have a seconder?
Oh, Paul.
Paul from Victoria, because a lot
Paul,
of the work comes out of Victoria. You happy to second?
I'll second it. All in favour?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so if there's any little, I think, comma or something.
Yeah, if there's any punctuation, spelling.
Just bring it back. Okay, John. What's the next?
That's the only thing I've got to, because I've scribbled all over this so many times. I haven't got, would you like to write it down just in case?
I'll take that.
Thank you. And other people write it down so that, yeah, take a screen. All right. Oh, gee, I didn't think that one would get through.
It didn't.
No, but I mean, all the whole lot. I'll look at it back next month. Thank you.
Nah, we don't.
I'll make the charter easy now.
Now, no, the charter is, sorry.
Yeah, I've opened it.
Can you just identify, I think there's a change in the charter,
Oh,
John, without going to
Andrew. We need another, the charter. I'll start on that while Andrew's, it's called amendments to the NDC charter. Pretty simple. It's in your notes.
So you're done with this slide,
So, yeah.
You're done with that slide. You're done with that slideshow.
Oh, yes, that's right. No. So the proposed amendments to the charter is the role of the committee is expanded to have an advisory role to the National Executive. The members of the committee is expanded to reflect the current membership, 2 members from each state, and we need a deputy chairman position created. Now, just a short explanation of that is in providing advice, that's what I've done for 50 years through the valuation business. We really need to be careful when we provide advice. Even though this is internal committee, if I provide advice to you or the committee provides advice, you act on it, a third party suffers from it, they can claim against you and me for providing that advice. That's simple legal procedure. So what we need to do is say, right, here's the committee that does provide advice, and maybe when these amendments go through, actually we do amend the NSW, we may need to get some form of indemnity for the committee by the NE, because if we don't, what will happen if someone makes a claim, the lawyers that are defending the claim, such as on the Knights NE, may say, well, John Gillespie or the NDC made that committee, made that advice which you fellas acted on, and I'm acting on that advice, the loss has been suffered. So therefore, it's their fault, not the ME's fault. So it gets a little bit tricky. That's what happens in the valuation business. It can happen in any other business. So there's just a little bit when we go to changing the charter to advice, we do need to consider those issues.
Yeah, but they can cover under they're covered under the officers' insurance that we have, association insurance.
It doesn't stop people from making a claim though, Brendan. They still like to make a claim wherever they can see money. So, yes, we can discuss it later, right, if that's okay. Because the short answer is, short proposal is that we change to training and advice. So that is just reflective of what we do. We just like to be a little bit detective about it. The previous chairman called for 2 members to be appointed for each state, and even though the charter only called for 1, there's good reasons for having 2 on there. It gives us a good balance on the committee, and that we get plenty of numbers, but also, more importantly, we get plenty of variety of gifts and talents that come onto the committee. Everyone brings their own talents. They're all involved in their own states' organisations, So they are able to bring all that information in, also take back the information that's given out through the NDC. So the more people involved, more people involved, we will be able to give you better advice and also better information, because these papers that we've looked at previously with Mark and Brother Mick came through the NDC, because we put them out, they went straight to the members and they went straight to the state organisations, and so you were able to view them straight up. So the NDC has that role of being an effective and pretty efficient way of getting information around the place, which is what we need, is not for states to sit on good information that should be shared. If you send it to me, information to me, that doesn't specifically say this is confidential, I will be sending it on through the NDC. So I'd like to give that assurance, shall we say. So the NDC is not seeking them, and not approval for these changes at this meeting. We only seek an indication that the National Executive, there's a probability these changes will be made, because we need to do things in the Charter, get the Charter up properly, put it back to the NE for final approval. So we don't expect final approval today, we just want an indication that those three changes would be...
Are you going through the Charter today?
Sorry?
Are you going through the Charter today? No.
Charter?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to change the Charter, yeah.
Well, no, the Charter.
Oh.
Yeah,
It's in the pack.
is it possible just to quickly suggest some changes to it, or not?
No. I've been through that part. There may be some other little word changes that we need to fix up through there too, which we may identify as we go through the Charter. So this has only come around from last Monday's meeting, because I said, well, we need to change the Charter, and they said, put it up to the National Executive.
Because the Charter, sorry, with all due respect, the Charter is very narrow. It talks about skills.
Yeah.
Capabilities is broad term, because that's skills and knowledge. Now,
Yeah.
some of the training, some of the development you will want to do won't necessarily be about skills, it will be about knowledge.
Yeah.
And so basically, yeah, I've changed some of the terminology, simple changes, but
Yeah.
it gives you a broader remit.
Yeah, but also we went back to that word training, maybe development, and maybe better than training. So which incorporates training.
Brother John, so I think you just highlighted the need, and subject to the National Executive is okay with it, that the Charter needs to be changed and updated.
Well, could you...
but not now, but I'm saying that's the next... You want to take that, so you come back to the next meeting in November with those changes and updates and amendments to it.
That's the idea.
Okay, so you've got 6 months to get it sorted.
The short answer is there any objections here from any members of those changes being made? Because basically, I don't want to waste our members' time and talents on something that, you know, you say, well, no, John, because I assume we would be able to work on that.
Yeah, so we're working on the basis you'll be able to amend the Charter.
Yes.
Like, is that what you want?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. I think that's okay. Is there a motion on that, or you just want to accept it as noted?
Just a recommendation.
Just a recommendation?
Yeah.
Okay, recommendation accepted.
Recommendation, thank you.
All right, very good.
So, strategic plan discussion leader.
So we've got about probably 10 minutes, because I need 2-minute item, so we need to be wrapping up in about 5 minutes or so.
Sorry, what was it?
We need to be wrapping up in about 5 minutes.
Right.
4:30.
You've seen the discussion leader in your papers there. It's prepared to assist each state to prepare reports to the National Executive. What we did was send a request around to all states to see what strategies could be put to each of the I think I might have the,
That's the one you requested.
discussion leader. I think there's one I'm putting discussion leader. Oh, sorry, you're right, yes. Sorry, Andrew. So we won't be able to go through these now because they are all the items on the discussion leader, which comprised of spirituality, membership, training, visibility, communication, operational matters, culture and leadership. The NDC put together some strategies that people could come back to, such as in culture, we looked at develop a training, a teams-based culture. Again, Brother Patrick's session this morning dealt with team-based organisations and that type of training. So, you know, when Western Australia does it, well, they can talk to that. If there's other training, all that type of thing, in other states, well and good, put it in your reporting. So, there's only, you've seen the schedule that was put out in that, the paper. Is there any discussion on that or any points, any questions?
I think there's a couple of, was it for Queensland, there was some edits in some of those lines. You were talking about that two-pager on the strategic plan discussion, is that right?
John has them.
You got those, okay.
John does have them.
So you incorporated that?
It's on the back of my report there. So you've got those, they are just headings, they can be, by Marcus, gone across that and change some of the words to be more contemporary mandatory ones instead of foster, we have facilitate. So that'll be up to the states to, more or less, do what they can with those. It's only a discussion leader. It's not part of the strategic plan. They're sharing with the NSW looking at the strategic plan later. So I just put up that as to deal with that issue of the chairman.
So that recommendation, so you're asking the executive meeting to notice and to endorse the review and updating of what you've got there.
Thank you.
People are okay with that? Yeah. Is that a motion or is it just a motion?
Recommendation.
Recommendation? Yeah. Okay. So now that's accepted. Brother Paul, I think that'll be an apology for this afternoon. I think we'll have to carry you over to tomorrow morning.
I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, because I think we're probably over-sensitized at the moment with so much we've taken in today, so much ground.